Quagila is considered an important transitional fossil in the evolution of pinnipeds because it lived around 23 million years ago during the Middle Miocene. It provides valuable insights into the early stages of pinniped evolution when these animals were adapting to a semi-aquatic lifestyle. It had limb proportions that suggest it was well adapted for both swimming and walking on land. This ability to move effectively in both environments is a significant feature of early pinnipeds, indicating their transitional nature. Inhalearctos was a transitional form between modern seals and their more otter-like ancestors. It was well adapted for swimming with a flexible spine and flipper-like limbs, but unlike most modern pinnipeds it probably used both its front and hind flippers for propulsion. It had to drag larger prey items back to shore in order to tear them apart and eat them, similar to the behavior of modern otters. Bearded seals are named for their distinctive beard, which consists of long, thick, and whitish whiskers that hang down from their muzzle. These whiskers are highly sensitive and help them detect prey in the water. They are known to dive to significant depths in search of food. They are well adapted to their Arctic environment and are often seen on icebergs or floating ice. The hooded seal is known for its uniquely elastic nasal cavity located at the top of its head, also known as the hood. Only males possess this nasal sac, which they begin to develop around the age of 4. The hood begins to inflate as the seal makes its initial breath prior to going underwater. It then begins to repetitively deflate and inflate as the seal is swimming. The purpose of this happening is for acoustic signaling, meaning that it occurs when the seal feels threatened and attempts to ward off hostile species when competing for resources such as food and shelter. Hooded seals tend to feed in relatively deep waters ranging from 100 to 600 meters, and dive from 5 to 25 minutes durations. They are a relatively unsocial species compared to other seals, and they are typically more aggressive and territorial. Compared to other phosid seals, the harp seal dives from shallow to moderately deep depths. Like many marine mammals, they have a thick layer of blubber beneath their skin. Blubber acts as an insulating layer, providing protection against the cold by reducing heat loss to the surrounding environment. They have specialized adaptations in their circulatory system to help conserve heat. They have a complex network of blood vessels called the rete mirabile, which allows them to cool the warm arterial blood flowing from the heart by transferring heat to the cooler venous blood returning from the extremities. This system prevents excessive heat loss to the extremities and helps keep vital organs warm. Ribbon seals are rarely seen out on the ice and snow. Their method of movement on the ice is highly specialized. While quickly undulating their body in serpentine motion, they grip into the ice with their claws and use alternating flipper strokes to pull themselves across the ice's surface. Ribbon seals have a polygynous mating system, where males mate with multiple females. Ribbon seals mate and give birth on pack ice rookeries, sea ice that is not connected to land. Males use vocalizations to defend breeding territories or to attract mates. While it was originally understood that marine mammals communicate vocally, new research conducted by researchers at Monash University shows that gray seals clap their flippers as another form of communication. They are skilled divers and can dive to impressive depths to find food. They can stay submerged for extended periods, sometimes diving down to several hundred meters. They are not highly social animals, but they can be found in groups, especially during the breeding season and when resting on beaches. Breeding colonies are established during this season, and males compete for access to females. Harbor seals stick to familiar resting spots, generally rocky areas where they are protected from adverse weather conditions and predation, near a foraging area. Males may fight over mates underwater and on land. Females bear a single pup after a 9-month gestation, which they care for alone. Pups can weigh up to 16 kilograms and are able to swim and dive within hours of birth. They develop quickly on their mother's fat-rich milk, and are weaned after 4 to 6 weeks. Spotted seals are relatively shy and are difficult for humans to approach. They can be solitary in general but are gregarious and form large groups during puppying and molting seasons when they haul out on ice floes. The reduction in Arctic ice flows due to global warming led to concerns that the spotted seal was threatened with extinction. Ringed seals are the smallest and most abundant member of the seal family that live in the Arctic and subarctic regions. The average lifespan of a ringed seal is 40 years, with a diet based mainly on Arctic cod and planktonic crustaceans. Typically, about 1.5 meters long, the ringed seal is known to be solitary with their main predator being polar bears. Recently, however, the biggest threat to ringed seals has been the changing temperature in the Arctic and the detrimental changes to sea ice that follow. The Baikal seal is the only freshwater seal species in the world and is endemic to Lake Baikal, the oldest and deepest freshwater lake on Earth. It is one of the most unique and specialized seal species. They have unique adaptations to their freshwater environment. Unlike marine seals, they lack the ability to move their hind flippers independently, which hinders their movement on land. However, they compensate for this by being agile swimmers, using their front flippers for propulsion and steering. They are highly dependent on the presence of ice in Lake Baikal, as it provides essential resting and breeding platforms for them. Climate change and the reduction of ice cover in the lake are potential threats to their habitat and survival. Acrophoca was not as well adapted to swimming as its descendants, possessing less developed flippers and a less streamlined neck. This may indicate that it spent a lot of time near the coast. Unlike other earless seals, it had a long and flexible neck, with an elongated body. The orientation of the pelvis, which in comparison to modern earless seals is everted, as well as adaptations to the hind limb suggest that swimming was mainly powered by the back flippers. Like their feline namesakes, leopard seals are fierce predators. They are the most formidable hunters of all the seals and the only ones that feed on warm-blooded prey, such as other seals. Leopard seals use their powerful jaws and long teeth to kill smaller seals, fish, and squid. These effective predators live in frigid Antarctic and subantarctic waters, where they also eat penguins. They often wait underwater near an ice shelf and snare the birds just as they enter the water after jumping off the ice. They may also come up beneath seabirds resting on the water surface and snatch them in their jaws. They have long bodies and elongated heads. Like most other seals, leopard seals are insulated from frigid waters by a thick layer of fat known as blubber. Though the leopard seal is known for its coat, it has not been commercially hunted for its skin like its fur seal relatives. Like other seals, elephant seals' bloodstreams are adapted to the cold in which a mixture of small veins surrounds arteries capturing heat from them. This structure is present in extremities such as the hind limbs. A unique characteristic of the northern elephant seal is that it has developed the ability to store oxygenated red blood cells within its spleen. Elephant seals derive their name from their great size and from the male's large proboscis, which is used in making extraordinarily loud roaring noises, especially during the mating competition. Sexual dimorphism in size is great. Females are generally 2 meters long, while males can reach over 5 meters long and weight 3,700 kilograms, 10 times the weight of the females. Elephant seals are among the seals that can stay on land for the longest periods of time, as they can stay dry for several consecutive weeks each year. Males arrive in the colonies earlier than the females and fight for control of harems when they arrive. Large body size confers advantages in fighting, and the agonistic relationships of the bulls gives rise to a dominance hierarchy, with access to harems and activity within harems being determined by rank. Two fighting males use their weight and canine teeth against each other. Satellite tracking revealed the seals spend very little time on the surface, usually a few minutes for breathing. They dive repeatedly, each time for more than 20 minutes, to hunt their prey at depths of 1,000 meters. They are the deepest diving air-breathing non-cetaceans and have been recorded at a maximum of 2,388 meters in depth. Mediterranean monk seals are solitary and elusive animals. They are mostly active at night and spend much of their time in the water, only coming ashore to rest and give birth to their pups. They give birth to their pups on isolated beaches or in sea caves. The breeding season typically occurs in the late summer or early fall. Females nurse and care for their pups for several weeks until they are weaned. It is listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. They face numerous threats, including habitat destruction, human disturbance, entanglement in fishing gear, and historically, hunting. The Hawaiian monk seal is the only seal native to Hawaii, and, along with the Hawaiian hoary bat, is one of only two mammals endemic to the islands. It is a conservation-reliant endangered species. The small population of about 1,400 individuals is threatened by human encroachment, very low levels of genetic variation, entanglement in fishing nets, marine debris, disease, and past commercial hunting for skins. Alodesmus would have been a sea lion-like animal, able to walk on all fours when hauled out on land, and showed distinct sexual dimorphism, with males growing to sizes of around 3 meters long and females being somewhat smaller. It powered its swimming using its front flippers, and may have mostly foraged in deep dark waters, using both keen vision and sensitive whiskers to locate prey. Like other otariids, northern fur seals are built for efficient terrestrial locomotion. Their hind limbs are in a plantigrade stance and are able to rotate under the body for quadrupedal locomotion and support. When swimming, there are two different types of movement, locomotion and diving. These seals swim primarily with forelimb propulsion due to their physiology. They have flexible joints between vertebrae for better maneuverability in the water as well as greater muscular leverage for pectoral strokes. Due to very high densities of pups on reproductive rookeries and the early age at which mothers begin their foraging trips, mortality can be relatively high. Consequently, pup carcasses are important in enriching the diet of many scavengers. Stellar sea lions are one of the largest species of sea lions. Bulls can reach lengths of 4 meters and weigh 2,500 kilograms. They are highly social animals and can be found in large colonies, especially during the breeding season. They are agile swimmers and skilled divers, capable of diving to significant depths in search of food. They are carnivorous and feed on a variety of marine species. They are opportunistic hunters and can take advantage of a wide range of prey depending on their location and food availability. The word otari comes from the Greek otarion meaning little ear, referring to the small but visible external ear flaps, which distinguishes them from the phocids. Because of morphological and behavioral similarities among the fur seals and sea lions, the separation of these two groups remain useful categories when discussing differences between groups of species. Compared to sea lions, fur seals are generally smaller, exhibit greater sexual dimorphism, eat smaller prey and go on longer foraging trips, and, of course, there is the contrast between the coarse short sea lion hair and the fur seal's fur. The Australian sea lion is the only species of sea lion found exclusively in Australia. It is one of the rarest and most endangered species of sea lions globally. The breeding season is quite unique compared to other pinnipeds. It occurs during the Australian summer, from December to February. This timing is different from most other sea lion species, which typically breed during the Northern Hemisphere summer. They are highly skilled swimmers and can reach speeds of up to 40 km per hour in the water. They have powerful front flippers that they use to propel themselves through the ocean. South American fur seals are colonial breeders, meaning they gather in large breeding colonies during the breeding season. These colonies can be quite dense and are typically located on rocky shores or remote islands. Adult males are highly territorial during the breeding season. They establish territories on the rookeries and fiercely defend them from other males to gain access to females for mating. Guadalupe fur seals create caves on land which can cause social pressures amongst the individuals. The seals that do not breed often play with each other by barking, lunging at each other, and pushing each other into the water. Other behaviors of the animal consist of waving their hind flippers in the water whisked face down in the water. They are a pelagic species that spend most of their time on the open ocean. Thus, they dive to catch food and forage for about 2 weeks before returning to land to feed. California sea lions feed on a number of species of fish and squid, and are preyed on by orcas and great white sharks. They have a polygynous breeding pattern. Females are free to move in between territories, and are not coerced by males. Mothers nurse their pups in between foraging trips. They communicate with numerous vocalizations, notably with barks and mother-pup contact calls. Outside their breeding season, California sea lions spend much of their time at sea, but they come to shore to molt. They are particularly intelligent, can be trained to perform various tasks and display limited fear of humans if accustomed to them. Because of this, they are a popular choice for public display in zoos and are trained by the United States Navy for certain military operations. Many bones of the Japanese sea lion have been excavated from shell middens from the Jomon period in Japan, while an 80th century encyclopedia, Wakan Sansai Zoo, describes that the meat was not tasty and they were only used to render oil for oil lamps. Valuable oil was extracted from the skin, its internal organs were used to make expensive medicine, and its whiskers and skin were used as pipe cleaners and leather goods, respectively. At the turn of the 20th century, they were captured for use in circuses. Although Nanodobonus would have looked very similar to a sea lion, it was actually an early member of the walrus lineage that lacked the specialized long tusks that characterize its modern relatives. At just 1.65 meters long, it was only about half the size of living walruses, making it the smallest member of the group ever discovered and leading to it being given the nickname Smaurus. About 20 to 25 million years ago, the lineage that led to the walrus began to diverge from other pinnipeds. Walrus ancestors probably had elongated bodies and limbs, but the tusks, which are a defining feature of modern walruses, had not yet developed. Neotherium, however, had powerful jaws with big teeth. Imagataria is an example of a primitive walrus that does not grossly appear similar to a modern walrus. Its teeth indicate that its feeding ecology was markedly different from that of modern walrus, and more similar to that of less specialized pinnipeds like seals, fur seals, and sea lions. Conical, unworn teeth and the lack of a vaulted palate indicate that Imagataria did not feed on mollusks like modern walrus. Gomphotheria was a huge-sized pinniped with small eyes, increased upper and lower canines and 4 tusks, with 1 pair in the lower and upper jaws. According to wear on the tusks, it hammered shellfish open, rather than simply sucking them out of their shells as do modern walruses. In terms of the postcranial skeleton, Gomphotheria and other designathian walruses were built more like sea lions than modern walrus. It is a prime example of the extreme diversity that walruses once exhibited. From fossil records, Ivoku's was at least as big as, if not slightly bigger than, the modern walrus, and, like the modern walrus, was probably a molluskivorous. The generic name is derived from the Inuit word for walrus, ivok. In modern walrus, tusks are also used to form and maintain holes in the ice and aid the walrus in climbing out of water onto ice. However, there were no ice where Ivoku's lived. The tusks were quite small, almost just like big canines. Most of the ancestors of walruses were found on the west coast of North America. During the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, the climate was warmer, but as the Pleistocene epoch began, the oceans cooled, and the polar ice cap in the north became covered with ice. The appearance of this sea ice and the elongation of canines in walruses appear to be linked. Valanictus likely resembled the modern species significantly, and the beaches it frequented must have been periodically covered with ice. If they behaved like modern walruses, Valanictus likely did not venture far into the open sea and preferred coastal areas rich in shellfish and crustaceans. Walruses are highly social animals and can be found in large herds, especially during the breeding season. These herds can consist of hundreds to thousands of individuals. They use various vocalizations to communicate with each other. They are carnivorous and primarily feed on a variety of marine species like clams, soft corals and crustaceans. They use their sensitive whiskers to detect prey on the ocean floor and suck up food with their powerful mouths. The walrus is sparsely covered with fur and appears bald. Its skin is highly wrinkled and thick, up to 10 centimeters around the neck and shoulders of males. The blubber layer beneath is up to 15 centimeters thick. Walrus live mostly in shallow waters above the continental shelves, spending significant amounts of their lives on the sea ice looking for benthic bivalve mollusks. Walruses are relatively long-lived, social animals, and are considered to be a keystone species in the Arctic marine regions.